guys, give me a few seconds. Let me do the audio thing on my laptop and then we can get started, okay? 3, 2, 1. What's up everyone? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I am the Marketing Nomad. My name is Prithvi Madhukar. In this podeo, we are going to look into my thumb tapping method to slow down your mind. Now, a tiny little disclaimer before we get into this podeo. Please do not use this video as a substitute for professional help. If you need it, please seek it. There is no shame in asking for help, right? I guess the second would be a tiny trigger warning. I will be talking about anxiety in this video. All right, let's get into it. So the first, of course, we are going to start with story time. So a couple of months ago, I was going through a phase where my anxiety was through the roof, and as an extension of that, my overthinking as well was just peak. I gotta say, it was peak. And honestly, there were a lot of times during that period where I was completely overwhelmed by the thoughts that were running in my mind, and not just that, the pace at which those thoughts were going through in my mind. Honestly, I wasn't able to keep up with them. And I was journaling, I was trying meditation, I was doing so many of the other things like the support system that I do have, especially during these periods. And it was helping to an extent, but honestly, my main problem at that point in time was that my thoughts were actually going faster than I could keep up with them. And that itself, in more ways than one, was truly overwhelming me. And I remember there were also some nights where I just couldn't fall asleep very fast. And it's very unlike me. I'm someone, the minute I hit the bed, I just fall asleep. But especially in these periods of time, this one especially, there was a lot going on in my personal life, and that was just seeping into my mind. And I don't know, I think it was coming to a point where the problem was so big that I was struggling. I was really struggling, and this was a couple of months ago. And one such night when I was unable to fall asleep and I just had these thoughts racing in my mind, I could actually feel physical energy building up inside my body. I could feel it like in my muscles, and you get that feeling that you just want to get up and just run it and just expend that energy. Yeah, I kind of got that feeling, but at the same time, thoughts in my mind were racing to such an extent that I don't know, I couldn't do that. I found myself feeling stuck as well, like physically stuck and unable to function normally, unable to do what I normally would have done. And at that point in time, I caught myself doing this. So my fingers were intertwined and my thumbs were just tapping away at each other. I guess it was my body's way of instinctively expending the energy that was building up, which was directly caused by my mental energy building up as well, and I didn't think too much of it at that point in time. I just, it was very mindlessly. I was just, I guess you would call it twiddling your thumbs, but my thumbs were literally tapping each other at a frequency that honestly, I've never seen them tap before, okay? It was going so fast, and I think in a way it was my body trying to keep up with my mind. I mean, now in hindsight, I realized, but at that point, I didn't think too much of it, all right? And so a couple of days later, again, I caught myself doing this. And at that point in time, there was this weird thought that came in my mind, and it was, well, my body is directly, behaving at the frequency that my mind is running in. But what if I stopped my body from doing that? What if I instead slowed down? What would happen? Would it make a difference, or what? I was desperate. Frankly, I was desperate. I was trying different ways to slow down my mind to a point where I could keep up with it. And I thought, okay, well, if my body is copying my mind, what if I move against all instinct? What if I just cut it short and I intentionally slow things down using my body? Would my mind then copy my body? And this is the thought process. Like, this is actually how I started coming up with this entire process. And so, my fingers were still intertwined and my thumbs were tapping each other at a frequency that was really, really fast. And so I stopped and I decided I would intentionally slow it down. And mind you, I had all this intense energy, physical energy that was coursing through my veins. Like, I could literally feel it in my muscles, in my entire body. But at the same time, instead of flowing with that energy, I cut it short, okay? I went against my instinct of expending that energy and I started tapping my thumbs really slowly. In fact, I decided to go with the second clock, like the seconds needle in a clock. Yeah, so I decided to follow that instead of following the frequency that my mind was at. So I'm here, okay, with my fingers intertwined, and my thumbs, instead of tapping really, really fast, they started following the seconds clock. And I gotta say, it felt weird for the first few seconds of me doing that, because my body was trying to tell me, you gotta go faster, go faster, go faster. And my mind also was like, catch up with me, catch up with me. It's kind of like that battle between my physical body and my mind. I don't know if this makes sense, okay? But this is actually what happened. And so I decided to go slower. I just followed the seconds clock. And so my thumb tapping from a frequency that was really, really fast, it started going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And after every 10 counts, I would take a deep breath. All right, because I realized when I was counting 1 to 10, I wasn't breathing at all, because like I said, I lost control, at that moment in time. Everything, you're not really fully cognizant of what's going on. And so for me, I thought, okay, well, I'm not taking breath from 1 to 10. Let's take a deep breath at 10. So every count of 10, just take a deep breath. And at that point, okay, I just kept saying 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Breathe in, breathe out. And then I'd continue. 11, 12, and so on and so forth. And I can't even begin to tell you. Of course, there were a couple of seconds that was severe discomfort within me. But after I hit like 30, okay, I could feel my thoughts slowing down to a point that I could actually see words forming in my head. I'm not even kidding. Like, before, I was so overwhelmed that they were running faster than what I could catch them. I mean, I would try meditation, but my mind would just be so unhinged that I couldn't even sit still or be by myself. But the minute I started doing this, I don't know, of course, there was first initial resistance, but after that 20-30 second mark, it just started to slow down. And not just that, because I was taking these deep breaths at 10 seconds, my body also was calming down. Like, the excess physical energy that I was talking, that also was slowly dissipating with the breath that I was taking. And honestly, I remember that particular day, I think I went up till 250. Like, it was intense. Like, it was massively intense. But at the end of that 250 mark, my thoughts had slowed down to a point where I could catch up with it. And that's all I needed, for my journaling or for my meditation. All I needed was for my thoughts to slow down so that I could handle it in my other normal methods. All right? And so I was really amazed with this method when I tried it out. And of course, now it's been a couple of months and I've analyzed why exactly it works, and we're going to get into it in the later part of this podeo. But for me, it was amazing. And frankly, every single time I find that my thoughts are beyond my control, I'm unable to keep up with them. My physical body is there's that mental energy that's converting into physical energy, and my body, I can feel it like coursing through my veins, or whatever they call it in in the way that they write in stories, I guess. Every time I feel that way, every time I have literally lost control of my thoughts, and they're just spinning in a way where I can't keep up with them, and I can't bring them to a point where I can manage them. Yeah, I do this. I just immediately, wherever I am, okay, if I'm sitting at my desk, if I'm lying down, I just intertwine my fingers all together, and then my thumbs start tapping each other very slowly. Like basically you just follow the seconds needle on any clock. All right, so that is how I created this method, and it has worked massively for me. I can't even begin to tell you the amount of impact it has had on my life. And the reason why I thought of sharing this as a podeo today is because since October and up until now, like I mentioned before, my physical health has been quite I guess I'd say challenging, from viral flu to eye allergies to food poisoning. Honestly, there's been a lot of mental and emotional distress on my end. And because I had to take a step back from work for extended periods of time, honestly, it was just, my anxiety was through the roof, I gotta tell you. And so I caught myself doing this method again, and it really helped me. And I thought, why not I share this method with everyone else out there, because I know there might be people, even though you have all of these systems like these meditation, journaling, so on and so forth, sometimes your thoughts are running faster than you can keep up with them, and sometimes you need that additional layer of support system. Sometimes it can go to another extreme, and for me it happened this very year, in the beginning of the year. And so given that this method has helped me so much, I did try to look online. I didn't find anything that was like this. So I thought, why not I just put it out there, because frankly, this was my thought process of creating it. And I've had enough time now. It's been a couple of months, right? I've had enough time now to sit down and think why exactly this method works. And it's actually pretty interesting. And I want to get into that in the second part of this podeo. But yeah, this is how the method is. So you're going to intertwine your fingers. We're going to do it together, okay? So you're going to intertwine your fingers, and your thumbs are going to be facing up, okay? Like both your thumbs. And then you're going to slowly bring your palms together so that your thumbs are closer together. And then you are going to face your thumbs together. I'm trying to explain this as I'm doing it, okay? So yeah, that's a little bit challenging for me, so bear with me, please, okay? So your thumbs are gonna face each other, okay? And this is important. This is part of the process. Your thumbs have to face each other, okay? And then slowly tap your thumbs together. Apply a little bit of pressure, just a little bit. You don't have to go overboard, just a little bit. Apply that pressure. Again, every single part of what I'm explaining is very, very important, and you're gonna understand why in the next part of this podeo, okay? So, and then go at a frequency that resonates with the seconds needle of a clock, okay? And if you don't have a clock around you with the seconds needle, it's okay. Just estimate, okay? But it has to be slow and steady. And the minute you hit 10, take a deep breath. Okay, we're gonna do up until 20 for this podeo, but you can go up to whatever count feels right to you. And for me personally, up until 20, 30 seconds, there's a lot of resistance during these periods of time when my mind is too fast for me to catch up with. There's heavy resistance up until the 30-second mark. So if you're feeling that resistance, don't worry, just keep going. Just focus on that count. All right, and when you are doing the thumb tapping, focus on the pressure that you are feeling. All right, and that's important too. I'll explain in just a little bit. But when you are doing this count, say it out loud if you have to, say it in your mind, whichever works for you. For me, saying it out loud actually helps, especially during the initial phase of resistance. But after that, I can really do it mentally and I'm able to cope with that. But for me, in particular, the first 20-30 seconds, I usually say the numbers out loud because I want to intentionally redirect my mind towards the pressure that it is feeling in my thumbs, as well as the count that I'm giving. All right, so we're gonna do up until 20 right now, and then you would be able to do this on your own whenever you need it. All right, so I've intertwined my fingers, my thumbs are up. I'm gonna push my palms closer to each other, but at the same time, my thumbs are still facing each other. That's very important, okay? You need that contact area between those two thumbs. All right, we're gonna start now, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Breathe in. Breathe out. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Breathe in. Breathe out. All right, and then you keep going for as long as you need. Like I told you, I've gone up till 250. There have been one instance recently, actually, I went up till 300 because it was just that intense. But by the end of like 50, I was feeling good. I just wanted that extra additional support. So that's completely on you, all right? Now, let's talk a little bit about why this method actually works. I've had a lot of time to dissect why exactly this worked, because for me, the way that I created this was more on the thought basis that right now my physical body is trying to copy the speed at which my mind is. But what if my body didn't listen to that and it just decided to go on its own, at its own pace? Would my mind copy it back? For me, it was kind of, I guess, I reverse psychology the whole thing. I don't know. But it was more like, would my mind then copy my physical body, or what would my mind do if my physical body was not actually keeping up with it? Because instinct pushes your physical body also to, go the same way as your mind. Like you've got this physical energy building up, but at the same time, because your mind is just, you're unable to control it because of your sense of overwhelm. Sometimes you are unable to, you're frozen, right? You're just frozen in that. And so what do you do with all of this physical energy that's within you? And that's when I thought, okay, well, the reason why this works so well is you are no longer tapping into your conscious mind. You're tapping into your subconscious. Like you're just going on autopilot. 1, 2, 3. You're just going on autopilot. So again, you are taking like your mind from whatever is working, you are distracting it, you are diverting its attention to go into autopilot. And that's why I think this method works so well, because you are giving that shift in your mind from it being active to going on autopilot, which I think to me, I would say would be a passive mode where it just watches what's happening because it's going on autopilot. All right. So for me, I think that's one of the reasons why this works so well. You're shifting gears for your mind intentionally. You're using your physical body to shift gears in your mind, and you are making it go from an active mind to more of a passive, like autopilot, where it's just looking at what's happening. The second reason why I think this works so well is when you think of your childhood, okay? For me, there's something in Kannada that my mom used to do, which is called tattu. It's called pat, okay? An English version of it would be patting. So every time you see little babies, you hold them, you pat them, right? And the reason why babies, or why I and my sister, we slept so well when my mom was patting us when we were babies, is because there is a certain rhythm to it. It's gentle, it's soothing, there is a rhythm to it. And frankly, the reason why, even as my sister and I grew older, like, when we were 8, 9, we would fall asleep even though we had this insane amount of energy within us. We weren't done with the day and we didn't want to go to sleep. The reason why it would put us to sleep, and this is my perception, is because instead of our mind going every single place like we would subconsciously focus on the pressure, the soft pressure, the rhythmic pressure, the soothing pressure that was constantly hitting us. I guess I wouldn't say hitting, because I think hitting is a little bit more forceful, but it was more like patting, okay? And so again, what your mom, or what moms or your caretakers would be doing at that point in time would be shifting your active mind into more of an autopilot, where it anticipates that rhythm. It just focuses on the pressure and it just falls asleep. And I remember my mom actually saying that, just focus on the pat. Of course, she would say it in Kannada, but she would say, focus on the pat. Just focus. We just see where I'm tapping you. And I remember her saying that, and that's where I took all of that and I said, okay, well, patting myself right now, it's not really, honestly, my arms would just get tired. But what if I use that same concept of that rhythm, of that soothing, of that gentleness, of that little pressure, okay, and focus my mind towards that little pressure. And that's why I said your thumbs have to be facing each other. There needs to be a pressure contact with each other. It needs to be slow. It needs to be rhythmic. Now, the third reason why that rhythm is so important is because, especially when it comes to anxiety, when it comes to overthinking, the major reason why that happens is uncertainty, right? There is lack of predictability, there is lack of stability, there is lack of certainty, and that's why that overwhelm starts building in. So when you are constantly tapping your thumbs, what happens is your mind begins to anticipate the tapping. It becomes predictable. It becomes certain. You know that you are going to tap. You can predict that the next tap is going to come in the next second. You can predict the pressure that your mind is feeling at a rhythmic pace. All right. And that itself puts you very, very subconsciously in a much calmer state, because there is predictability. You have that envelope of predictability. You have that envelope of certainty. Even though it may not be something that you are doing consciously, very, very subconsciously, you are layering yourself with predictability. And that's exactly what your mind as well as your body needs at that point in time. Okay? Because the reason why when you feel anxious, or when you're having an anxiety episode, when you are overthinking, it's because there is a layer of uncertainty there. And so a way to combat that would be to remove the uncertainty. And of course, whatever you're going through in your life, you can't remove the uncertainty in that moment of time, right? It's going to take time for that to happen. It's going to take time for it to play out, so on and so forth. So in the time being, you can provide that layer of comfort, that layer of predictability, that layer of soothing, that tiny bit of pressure that your mind can focus on, can redirect its attention, can divert its attention and focus on something that is actually happening in that moment of time. And subconsciously, very, very subconsciously, that predictability is what calms you. And of course, like I mentioned, every 10 counts, you are taking a deep breath. And for me, especially in those periods, I don't know, even something as simple as breathing is just, it's weird. It gets complicated, with my heart palpitations and everything just happening around me. I tend to freeze. And so in those moments, when you tell your mind at every count of 10, we are going to take a deep breath. Again, you're putting your mind under autopilot, and that deep breath that you're taking, it may not be very conscious. It may be a very subconscious thing that your mind does when it's on autopilot, because you've told it to. You've said, you know what? Every count of 10, let's take a deep breath. Again, you are calming your physical body even without you realizing it. All right? So that's very, very important. The taking a deep breath at 10, and this is how I experience it, to be honest. Up until 50, that's 5 counts of 10. I don't even realize the impact that breath is having on me. I really don't. I'm in a completely different thought process. Honestly, I'm on autopilot. My mind is learning how to shift into autopilot instead of being active and constantly running at I don't know how many miles per hour. But that slight shift, I'm not exactly aware of the impact it is happening on my body. And frankly, the first couple of seconds you are going to feel that resistance, and between resistance and acceptance there's this weird period, and you're gonna feel it as well. There's this weird period where you actually don't know what's going on, but that's actually your mind shifting into autopilot and going into a more passive role, I guess I would say. Okay, so go through all of that, and then up until 5 counts, like the reason why I told you this is up until 5 counts of 10, honestly, I really don't know what's happening. I can't feel the physical impact. But after a certain period, after 5 counts of 10, or however long it takes for you, it's very, very individualistic to the person as well as the magnitude of what you're going through as well. But after that, I can slowly feel my body relaxing into whatever position it's in. I can feel the energy like lowering down, because the energy, the physical energy that you have, one, it's going in your thumb tapping. Number 2, it's also getting expelled out with the breaths that you're taking. You're consciously, whatever, I guess I would say, the heart palpitations that you may be having, again, very individualistic. When your heart is beating faster, you are taking deep breaths, so your heart has no choice but to calm down and move in the way that you are breathing. So in that respect as well, your body from a fight or freeze, I guess I would say phenomena, I'm not sure what it is, but whatever state of being that it is in, it starts calming and physically calming. And the minute your mind perceives your body calm, it also calms down as well. It's very counterintuitive, and frankly, I think of it as like reverse psychology, like kind of flipping it back on your mind, because the way that I see it is my body wants to move, like my body has this excess of physical energy because my mind has this excess of mental energy. But the minute my body remains calm, the minute my body says, you know what, no, there's actually nothing to worry about, I find that, and my body behaves in that way. It's not just, my body doesn't react to the mind, and my body pushes against that instinct and just still says, you know what, no, green, we're okay. And I think that, that energy also flows back into the mind and calms it down a little bit. So yeah, this is, I'm just going to look down at my notes just a little bit. And the way that I've written over here is, we've talked a little bit about the predictability, expending the physical energy, the breaths are calming, and one thing that I've written over here is, in this moment of time when your body refuses to act on what your mind is telling it to, but instead it pushes against that instinct, it resists and continues to go down its path, what it's doing in that moment of time is it's teaching your mind to calm down, to slow down, okay? That's how I perceive it, and that's what's happened with me as well when I've tried this, and I've done it multiple times. Trust me, in the past couple of months, I have done it multiple times, and even more so in the last 2 months that have passed. And it works. It just works for me, and I really hope that you can use this as a starting point for yourself as well. And, one thing that I've written over here is, use your body as an example for your mind to follow, because right now your mind's like going all over the place, and that's okay, all right? That's okay. Whatever it is that you're going through, your mind is learning how to cope with it, and this is just a way for your body to teach your mind that let's not let's not go all over the place. We can always slow down. We can always come back. And I think either way, going against whatever you're feeling in that moment of time is a great way to teach your mind that no, this whatever we are feeling, it's okay for us to feel that way, but depending on the case that you're going through, there is no danger, or we shall oh, for those of you watching on YouTube, I think my lights just went out and then it came back. I have no idea what happened. But yeah, we're going to continue. All right, so basically it's like your body teaching your mind that we're gonna slow down a little bit. It's okay that this was your response. You've had experiences that have made you this way, and we respect that. But at the same time, in this moment of time, it is not necessary for us to go in that direction. We can take this the calmer route, and a route that is both, good for us mentally, emotionally, as well as physically. All right. And yeah, definitely let me know your experiences with this in the comment section below if you've tried this out. Like I said, there is no judgment, there is no shame. You can go up until any count that works for you. I told you at that point in time I went up until 250, and then recently I did up until 300. No shame, okay? It's just what your body needs at that point in time, what your mind needs at that point in time. You can go up till as long as you want. And for me, I do this only in moments where I'm unable to control my thoughts, or my thoughts are just they're just going faster than I can keep up, and other methods have not worked for me. For me, this is just a technique that I use for myself to slow down my thoughts to a point where I can cope with it and use other techniques to manage it then. All right. And another thing that you could do is you could do this every night. It really depends on you, whatever you're comfortable with. I personally do it only when I need it. This is a technique that has worked for me, and the reason why I shared it with you is because I just, first off, very recently I used it and I was like, oh yeah, this is something that I should share with people. And number two, I want you to try this out as a starting point for what works for you. Maybe there's something, a few more additional steps that work for you. Feel free to add those in. Use this as a starting point for what works for you, what works for your situation, what works for your mind, what works for your physical body requirements as well. And if you have any additional tips and experiences that you do want to share, please do so in the comment section below. I do read all of them, and it will be helpful for me as well. We're just a community that's, we want to help each other. At least that's how I envision all of us to be. So let me know your thoughts, your experiences, so on and so forth. And let me just look at my notes. Yeah, I think we're okay. All right. And one thing that I've mentioned over here is use this as part of your support. Like, don't rely completely on it, but at the same time, keep it as one of the many techniques that can help you when you are going through a period of time where your thoughts are just not something that you can control, or they're beyond your capacity to manage it. So use that as a way to bring it to a point where you can manage it. And of course, then there's journaling, there's meditation, there's going for walks, there is physical activities, there is leisure activities, having hobbies, so on and so forth. Whatever works for you when it comes to managing your anxiety, managing your thoughts, understanding your thoughts, controlling your emotions, controlling your mind as well, so on and so forth. All right, so use this as a good starting point, and I would love to hear your experiences. Other than that, I am an author of 2 books. One is 0 to 4 Figures. It is a business book on digital entrepreneurship, where I talk about self-love, relationships, business strategy, mindset, marketing, so on and so forth. That is available on Amazon. Link is in the description box below. And then there is my second book, which is Self-Loved. It is a compilation of 1,000 journal prompts for healing, growth, and self-discovery. Now, that book contains different topics on manifestation, trauma healing, inner child healing, anxiety, emotion management, so on and so forth. Again, that is also available on Amazon. Apart from that, I do have a series of planners, journals, and trackers. They're called the Simple Series by The Marketing Nomad. There are different productivity planners, like a 1-page product planner, a 7-day work week planner, so on and so forth. There are plenty of them. Now, those are also available on Amazon. The simplest way to find all of my products, whether it is my 2 books or these 17 planners, journals, and trackers, would be to search my name on Amazon. It is Prithvi space Madhukar. You should be able to find an author page for me on Amazon, and then you'll be able to find all of my products over there as well. Other than that, if you want a one-on-one consultation with me, either on marketing, mindset, or even business, definitely do visit my website, www.themarketingnomad.co. There's a form on there. You can fill it out, and then we can talk about how to take this forward. All right, so that's pretty much it on my end. If you want to follow a little bit more of my other social media pages, I'm also there on Instagram. My Instagram page is at @themarketingnomad. All right. Yeah, that brings me to the end of this entire podeo. Frankly, I am a bit nervous in sharing this because, like I said, this technique is very individualistic to me. I have not seen it anywhere on the internet, and this is something that works really, really well for me. And I know that what might work for one person may not work for someone else, but at the same time, if it does work for you, I mean, that's just fantastic. And that's why I decided, I should put this on the internet. It may not work for all, but there might be few that might benefit from this. And I wanted to provide a new technique for people out there in case you were going through what I was going through and maybe didn't know another way. I guess as a side note, I do want to say that if this doesn't work for you, don't panic. It's okay. It's absolutely okay. Like I said, all of these techniques that you see are very, very individualistic. They're also hyper dependent on the magnitude of what you're going through, the situation, your mindset at that point in time, your personality as well, what works for you, so on and so forth. I've had friends for whom, meditation works so well, even in these periods where their mind is absolutely running way faster than what they can cope up with. But for me, it's never worked, and at the same time, it still doesn't. So this was just another technique for me to physically focus my mind onto something that's happening in my body, like the pressure point and so on and so forth. So like I said, what works for one may not work for the other, but I just wanted to put this out there in case it was helpful for someone out there and it resonates for the particular situation that you are in. But for those of you who it does not work for, I gotta say, don't panic. Try to create something that works for you. The reason why I created this in the first place was because my mind, like even as a kid, when we were doing this whole thing of counting sheep, it never worked for me. Like, how people would count sheep and then they would fall asleep? No, it never worked for me because I don't know why. My mind was just in all places and I could never bring it to even counting sheep. But for me, this whole thing of focusing on the pressure, the pressure that I was feeling, focusing my mind on the pressure was able to bring those thoughts back into control, was able to help my mind focus on the counting because the pressure that I was feeling in my thumb, I just had to focus on the pressure. So likewise, find something that works for you. This is something that I created because my mind didn't do very well with counting sheeps. Especially in these moments, meditation, at least I haven't come to a level where I can master it with meditation. So for me, that's why I created this. So like I said, I think necessity is the mother of innovation, right? That's what they say. And so, if this doesn't work, try figuring out what would work for you. For me, the pressure works. So what is it that works for your mind? What is it that works for your personality, for your mindset that you're in, so on and so forth. That is one big pro tip I would give you, and don't give up. There will be a technique that works for you. You just have to either find it or create it. Don't give up hope. Keep looking for it, okay? If in case this does not, and you can also try this for different situations to see what it works for, what it does not. For me, every time my mind goes into a different extreme, this works. It just works. I can go into autopilot knowing that this works, but like that, there might be others that resonate with you, all right? So this is how I would want to wrap up this entire podeo. See what works for you. Use my technique as a starting point. Keep adding layers to see what works for you, what suits you, so on and so forth. Feel free to absolutely do that as well, all right? So this is the thumb tap method by Prithvi Madhukar, and I really hope that it helps you in some way. Let me know your experiences in the comment section below. Do give me a thumbs up if you like this video. Hit that subscription bell. Wait, hit the subscription. I always mess this up. Hit that subscribe button and the notification bell, because the notification bell tells you every single time I do upload a video. And other than that, you know, please do leave a review, leave your thoughts, share this video with people who you think it might be helpful for as well. Alrighty guys, I'll catch you in my next podeo. Bye bye.